Hey guys, welcome back to another Unreal Engine 5 tutorial, and today we will be continuing the 2D series. So in the last video, we made our player jump, simply, and we made our camera lag, so that when the player stops moving, the camera catches up to the player, which looks like this. You can kind of see a little bit of a lag when the player jumps and moves around. And then we made our chest, so that when we pick it up, it disappears and it says you picked up chest. Now obviously we can just make it so that it eventually, opens and then we can grab something from in the chest and then it closes when we press F again. But, that's just simply how you can pick up an object. We can go into more later. But today we're going to be going over how to apply animations to the character when he's moving. So when he's jumping, we'll add a jump animation, and when he's moving left and right, we'll add a left and right animation. Or we'll just add a right animation and then we'll flip the right animation when he's moving left. So to start, we actually have to add in our animations. So I already had some made from a personal game I've made a while ago. And so what we're going to do is go to our sprites folder, and I'm going to go to my player folder, go to import, and find your animation that you made that has multiple frames or whatever, or your sprite sheet. And which is this guy right here. And then I'll save it. Make sure you add the 2D texture setting, and then I'm going to extract all my sprites or my frames. Make sure it's 16 by 16. Extract, save it. And today we're just going to be making the player go right, because like I just said earlier, we don't need the left and right animation, we just need the right animation so that we can just flip it. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete the left animations because we're not going to use them. And so there's that. So here's the run animation. So we'll just say player run FB for the flipbook. Click on it. It's running a little fast, so we'll just slow it down to like around 7. And then we will add this into our, actually we have to make a new folder and call it just run. And then I'm going to add in the run animation. And then we already have, our player already has the animation that I made earlier, just so I can show you how to make an because I showed you guys how to make an animation in the first video. So we'll just go ahead and delete that because we don't need it. And we'll then make this into a new flipbook and just call it player idle underscore FB. Go ahead and add in that into our idle folder, and then I'll create a new folder and call it jump. Now I didn't make a sprite sheet. It's not as convenient, so I gotta do it extract them one by one and add in the flipbook. So this and there. So once they're all added in, we'll just do the same process. Extract all the sprites. And then once they're all added in, we will just create a flipbook. So when I do this, it's going to make 7 flipbooks because I have 7 frames and I don't want that. So I have to make 1 flipbook this time because I extracted them all separately. So I'll just name this player jump FB, and then I'll click on it, minimize it, and I'll just add in all the frames frame by frame. And as you can see, it is updating the animation whenever I add in, what just happened? Whenever I add in the frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What am I missing? 1, 2, 3. Oh, I'm missing my 4th animation. So I'll just drag this guy over right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now it's in the proper order. He's jumping a little fast, so I'll slow it down at around like 7. And now that that's added in, we will just start adding in our code now and make our player have animations. So we'll go to our player character or my player 2D blueprint, and then we're just gonna make a new custom event, and then we'll then call that custom event on an event tick, which then updates the animation. So I don't know, I'll just name this update animation, and we want to get a branch and check and see if the player is right, because all our animations are facing right for our player, and you want to check and see if the player is right. If he's not, then he's going to be left. So we'll make a new variable and we'll call it is right question mark. Make sure it's a boolean, and then leave this unchecked, and we're just going to drag that into the condition, and then off of false you want to actually set the animations. So we'll say set flipbook, and then that adds in our sprite, which is right here, which is not set. So real quickly, we'll click on our sprite, and our source flipbook will just be our player idle. And as you can see, it's really small, so I'll just make him a bit bigger. And that's probably good enough. I can resize this a little bit and make him like that. There we go. And then we don't want to just, we don't want to have just one animation. We want to have multiple animations. So this would not work. We have to get a select node, and make sure you do not, make sure you don't actually right click on a blank and an empty space and say select, because then that's going to be a different node. You actually have to drag off of the new flipbook to get this exact node. And then off of the index, we'll just make that into a boolean. And then off of our false, we don't want to just have two. We want to have our jump, idle, and run animation at the same time. So our false is just going to be another select node. And this is going to be a boolean as well. And when the player is not moving, that will be our idle animation. So that will be off of our false, our false in the select node. And then our true will be when our player is actually moving, when he's moving left and right. So that would be our run animation or flipbook. And then the true right here will be our player jumping. So you can switch the run and jump if you want. It's totally fine, but you'd have to switch what I'm about to do right here, which is the is falling node, because we're going to check and see if the player is actually falling when he's jumping. Again, it means to know if he's actually jumping or not. And then off of actually wait, yeah, no, off of the index we want a greater than, and then you want to say vector length, and then we want to then say get velocity. That does not look right. Oh yeah, you have to drag out your character movement first and then say get velocity, and it should look like this. And then we'll just connect it into A, and it looks all nice like that. And now this should be good. So now we actually have to call this animation, or these three animations. So I'm gonna just move this up a little bit, and I'm gonna comment it and name it player movement animations. Now you can obviously add a crouch animation, so you just add an extra select node and then say crouch, and then you actually have to add in all the crouch blueprints below. But we're not gonna do that today. We're just gonna keep it with these three. So this isn't gonna work, obviously. Our player is just gonna be stuck on the idle animation, and it looks like he's a little bit in the ground, so I'll just move him up. I'll move him up a little bit. Yeah, and he's floating a little bit, but it's fine. But yeah, so he's just stuck on the idle animation. We don't want that. He's also a tiny bit too big, so I'm gonna just decrease him a little bit, scale him down. and then you can go down a little bit more. That's good. He's still floating. I don't know why he's floating. That's good. So yeah, as I was saying, he's just stuck on the, idle animation when he's moving left and right. We actually haven't actually called the this update animation function, so we're gonna have to get an event tick. And basically, you don't want to use event ticks. You want to minimize the amount of event ticks you use in your game, because basically, for example, if I get a print string, it'll just simply just say hello, and I'll play the game. As you see on the left hand side, it just spams hello. And for whatever you call it, whatever you're making the event tick do, it could really like affect your performance and decrease your frame rate. So you really want to minimize this amount, the amount of event ticks you use in your blueprints. But for animations, we kind of have to use an event tick, because we want to constantly check if our player is moving or not. And when he does, he obviously plays the animation. So we're just going to call our update animation. Hope that makes sense for you guys. And now this should be working. So it hasn't actually flipped the animation, but you can see when I press the jump arrow, or the up arrow, or the W key, or whatever your key is for you to jump, it actually shows the jump animation. But when I move left, it doesn't actually flip the animation. So real quickly, we're gonna have to add in all that code. So to start that, we're gonna start with a new custom event, and I can't. And we'll just call it update control rotation, or just rotate animation, whatever you want to call it. And then I'm going to check and see if it is valid. And if it is valid, we're going to get a compare float, which gives us a positive and or greater than and a negative. So off the greater than, we're just going to say set control rotation, uncheck it. There we go. And we're just going to copy that and add that into our less than. And then our target is going to, we also want our input to be our controller or your player controller, whatever. I'm going to just say my pawn. And then I'm going to also update or copy that to our target for both of the control rotations. And then off the new rotation, we're going to say make rotator, which is this guy down here. And we'll just leave this one at 0. So when the player is moving right, it'll stay at 0. And when the player is moving left, as you see, the less than is in the left direction, which is kind of convenient. We'll just flip the animation 180 degrees on the Z axis. And this should be working pretty nice. Yeah, this, actually I'm missing a little bit of stuff. We gotta go off the input and say, get velocity. Actually, no, we have to break our vector first to get our velocity. So break vector, and then get velocity. There we go. And then, actually, that's the wrong one. Again, you have to go to our character movement, do the same thing as before, and just say get velocity. And then we can add that into our break vector. So now this should be all we need to flip our animation. So I'm just going to comment this and say rotate animation. Move it to like right there, just whatever. And when I press play, it should work. Ah, it didn't work. I don't know why it didn't work. Let's see what's wrong here. Interesting. Oh, duh. We have to call our function. I'm not thinking today. Rotate animation. So yeah, that's how we actually see it work. I'm not thinking. So, oh, okay. So yeah, it's actually flipping the camera as well. We don't want that. We just want it to flip the animation. So to keep the camera still, we have to go to the viewport and our spring arm that we just added earlier in the other video. And if you don't have this, just add in a spring arm and then make the camera the child of the spring arm. And we're just going to go to the rotation and set it to world, not relative. And that should now fix our problem. I'm going to also make our idle animation a bit slower. It's going really fast. So like around 3 probably. That's good enough. And now it should be working. There we go. As you see, the player is moving left and right. And when we jump, it moves left and right. Obviously, it has a little bit of a... it doesn't look too nice. I mean, it looks nice, but like it has a little bit of a weird lag effect, or like blur. But you just gotta do some playing around. You gotta play around a little bit with the, animation to make it look a little better, I think. But it's working pretty good, honestly. So yeah, that's how you add animations to your player. So you can just, let's say, for example, I won't do it, but just to give you guys an example, if your player is attacking, you can basically just copy this code. Obviously add all the animation, add all the blueprints that you're going to use to attack whatever object, and then you're just going to add a new event, custom event, and just call it attack animation, and then you're just going to copy all this pretty much. You're only gonna need one select node, and you're not gonna need this, and you're just gonna say for your false is your idle, and then your run would be your attack animation, and then obviously you wouldn't call that your function on the event tick, because then it would actually mess up your regular movement animations. You would then call the attack animation on whatever button you are pressing to attack the player. So like if you have a key that if you already have an action mapping in the project settings that's set to like attack with like the left mouse button, you would then just call the update animation on the interact key to like attack the player and the enemy or whoever you're attacking. So yeah, that's how you do 2D animations. Hope you guys liked the video, and make sure to subscribe for more. Thank you for watching.